And this one began by the Dolphins in total domination, and that suddenly took a turn.
Yeah, the two turnovers obviously were the big keys, because one went in for a touchdown and one gave Pittsburgh about 1st and 25, maybe 27 for the score. And the Dolphins started out very, very strong before it began to rain, and then it just turned ugly for them. The last 5 times they had the ball, they lost it either on a punt or a fumble. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, has been very, very good at handling this bad weather. They started out slowly, and once they got the breaks, they took advantage of it.
And a major scare for the Dolphins. Marino came in with some bruised ribs, and watch this, number 37, the rookie strong safety Carnell Lake with the hit on Marino.
The pass was completed to Clayton for about 8 yards, but he landed on his throwing shoulder. You can see him wince. Dick Jorgensen kind of cleaning up his face mask. The ribs hurt him. The shoulder hurts him now, and the worst thing that can happen to a guy like Dan Marino with an injury like that is he goes in at halftime, sits down, and it cools off. So now he's got to get warmed up again and somehow get it done, get some life back in the offense here. You can see he's not throwing comfortably.
Now he's favoring the shoulder, as you would expect. And it will be Pittsburgh kicking off to the combination of Lorenzo Hampton and Nu'u'Fa'aola. That's Hampton back as the deep man. Sammy Smith, 1-yard touchdown run, 66-yard touchdown pass. Marino to Clayton, 14-0 after 1. In the second, Hodge on a 1-yard touchdown run, closing off a 9-play drive. And then Woodruff on a 21-yard fumble return off the lateral from Lake. Sammy Smith with a key fumble that led to a Pittsburgh touchdown, and a 27-yard field goal by Anderson as the first half ran out to give the Steelers the 17-14 lead. Here's Hampton on the return, out to the 20 and across the 25-yard line.
Now, Marv, the officials have a league rule is you have 6 dozen footballs available for every football game. And the officials will have a bag of dry balls that they bring out on the field. They'll try as best they possibly can to keep the ball dry. But, of course, every time it's placed down on the ground, it's going to be an absolute mess. Muddy, wet, gets heavy. He's got at least 3 or 4 footballs underneath there. And it'll stay dry for a little bit, so whatever Marino's going to do here, he should do quickly in throwing.
That was not a weight problem, we should point out, with that particular individual.
No.
It is a first down at the 27, and off the swing, it is Tom Brown reaching out to the 30. Greg Lloyd making the stop.
Please replace all divots, Tom. Please.
Yeah.
You don't want to tear up Joe Robbie Stadium here, so if you... this is a good choice by this offense now, and I think both offenses are going to have to do this. Very conservative, throw the ball short. You can see that ball is relatively dry.
A gain of 3, 2nd and 7 at the 30. Dan Marino from the University of Pittsburgh, a native of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with the handoff to Sammy Smith. And Smith gets out to the 34-yard line, short of the first down. The inside linebacker, Jerry Olszewski, on the tackle.
See, carrying that ball on the inside, left arm. He has no chance for a stiff arm, and that's where all the pursuit's going to come from. Watch once again. He'll be running to the right. This is the counter series, and he's got that ball on the inside. He should switch to the outside, and then he can stiff arm somebody, throw a shoulder at him with an elbow, make a couple of extra yards.
It is a 3rd and 3 at the 34. And Marino has the first down. Again, going short range from Mark Duper. Duper with a 7-catch day last week against Dallas. That is his 2nd reception this afternoon. First down at the 40-yard line for the Dolphins as we get started here in the 3rd quarter. Marv Albert with Bob Trumpy from Joe Robbie Stadium. When we opened up, let's see, 2 hours ago, it was 85 degrees, hot and humid. Sun attempting to burst through the clouds right now. Off the pitch out, Smith. And had nothing doing. Sammy Smith has stopped Gerald Williams the nose tackle. Getting in the way of Sammy Smith as we check out the scoreboard. A 17-0 Buffalo lead in the third quarter. Buffalo and Miami coming at 7-4, tied for the AFC East lead. Kansas City over Houston. Halftime 20-0. San Diego, Indianapolis tied at 3. In the third, the Jets doing it to Atlanta at Giant Stadium. Green Bay leading Minnesota 10-9. Second down 8. That's Jensen 11 in motion. Once again, Smith. And he's stopped at the line by Greg Lloyd, number 95.
Very slow starting play. Lloyd catches that play from the backside. This is going to be a sweep right. They have Jensen going in motion as a lead blocker. And Lloyd catches that thing from behind. Bottom of the screen, 95. And Smith tries to cut back inside. Lloyd is right there to make the tackle for little or no gain. So now, once again, third down and 7. Here's Joe Green, the Hall of Fame defensive tackle, talking to Greg Lloyd.
And once again, Jim Jensen checking in for this third down situation. And Marino stepping up, throwing on the run off the hand of Clayton.
Boy, he could have run for a first down easily. He absolutely could have run for a first down with no problem whatsoever. And Jim Jensen looked wide open. Jensen is the running back there. After he gets a little knock on the blitzer, look, there's nobody even in the screen for him. Tough choice there by Dan Marino. He tries to get the ball to Clayton, throws it behind him, so 3 downs and out.
And a punting situation. Reggie Roby back inside his 30. Rod Woodson awaiting the punt. And Woodson had to come up. He's to the 35. And thrown into the massive swamp by Lifford Hobley. A 32-yard punt and 11-yard return. 4 minutes in. Third quarter, Pittsburgh back to the offense, leading by 3. Forcefully as the Pittsburgh Steelers take over at their 38-yard line. First down, 11 minutes remaining in this third quarter. Pittsburgh with a 17-14 lead. They line up with Merrill Hodge, Tim Worley in the backfield. The quarterback is Bubby Brister. And it is Hodge refusing to go down. They will mark his forward progress at the 43-yard line. Jarvis Williams, the strong safety, finally able to wrestle him down. The Pittsburgh Steelers have never won here in Miami. 0-5 against the Dolphins. That, of course, going back to the days at the Orange Bowl, although Pittsburgh has come up with 2 of its biggest wins in Miami in terms of the history of the team. They beat Dallas in Super Bowls 10 and 13, both, of course, in the Orange Bowl. Second down and 6. 83 Lips in motion. Play action. And Brister heaves it deep downfield. Derek Hill down to the 5-yard line. That's the third big passing play for Brister. Earlier, it was Malarkey and Hill again now for 53 yards.
William Judson, the man in coverage. Play action fake by Bubby Brister, and this is just a foot race. This is not a particularly great move by Hill. He just runs by Judson. Good concentration on the football. Brister puts it right there, 53 yards. What a performance by Bubby Brister, by Derek Hill, rookie starting his fourth game of the season.
So first and goal at the 5-yard line, and a big move by Merrill Hodge for the touchdown. He was able to burst right through with some excellent blocking.
Hodge lets Tim Worley spike the ball. That's a good enough run to spike it yourself. Excellent trap run by Pittsburgh up front. You see Tunchilkin, 62, pulls up through there. Cross, 91, overruns it. Dermontti Johnson, the center, does a great job. And it's an easy trap for a touchdown for Pittsburgh.
Steelers now lead 23-14. Gary Anderson will attempt the point after.
This could be Pittsburgh's second win over Miami this year. You realize that? The other one was in the Dream Bowl.
Yeah. Bob following all aspects of the sport.
Hey, take it any way you can. NFL Films Dream Bowl. Pittsburgh beat the 72 undefeated Dolphins.
And Anderson puts it right through. And you know, that's very prominent on the mind of Don Shula. 9:24 left in the third. A 10-point lead for the Steelers. As oh my, making their way into the flood conditions.
Synchronized swimming here in a minute. Stay tuned.
Hampton and Fa'aola are back deep. Pittsburgh Steelers lead the Miami Dolphins now 24-14. Hampton out across the 25.
Fumble.
And the Steelers say they have it.
He fumbled it.
All right, they have to unravel. And yes, it is Pittsburgh ball. Another critical fumble by the Dolphins. Earlier, it was Sammy Smith that led to the Steeler touchdown, and now Hampton on the kickoff return.
That's 3 turnovers of the day. Absolutely remarkable. You know, this is a team that historically has not turned over the football, been very, very careful with the football, but Lorenzo Hampton trying to come up with a big return. Let's see if we can pick out what happens. Oh, it just punched out of his arm. 22, Larry Griffin just punches it right out of his arm.
And at the bottom of the pile, Tim Terrell, a excellent special teams man who has spent time with Atlanta and the LA Rams. Buffalo signed him as a Plan B free agent, dropped him, signed with Pittsburgh, active today, and he comes up with the fumble recovery.
It's absolutely amazing that Pittsburgh has not turned the ball over in this weather.
So the Steelers with another break. First down at the Miami 28-yard line. They lead it 24-14. And now the sun is beginning to peek through. It is Worley running well and then tripped up out of the 25. Stopped by the strong safety Jarvis Williams.
We just saw a picture of Don Shula. He's got to be very distressed at this because the football game started out the way he wanted, and that was we get up early, 14-0. We're dominating the line of scrimmage. In the last couple of weeks, they'd started very slow. And then suddenly, because of the turnovers and the weather, it turns in Pittsburgh's favor, and they've definitely taken advantage of it.
On the other hand, Bob, perhaps Shula feels he has the Steelers just where they want them. The last 2 victories were both come from behind. He may have been uncomfortable with that 14-0 lead.
But I got to tell you, with this kind of weather and this kind of field, 24-14, that's like a 20-point lead.
Here's Brister throwing for Lips. Lips was involved further upfield with Langford and then was able to cut away. So it is a 3rd down and 7 at the 25-yard line. Lips yet to make a catch this afternoon, although he has been a target. Buffalo 17-0 in front of Cincinnati. Kansas City maintains its lead. Atlanta getting on the scoreboard. Jets up 20-7. Green Bay 10, Minnesota 9. Minnesota losing to the Philadelphia Eagles by that same score last week. 3rd down and 7. Brister with the time, and that is deflected and goes incomplete.
Looked like it hit one of his offensive lineman's helmet. That was a real ricochet.
Bubby Brister has come through with 3 key completions to Malarkey and twice to the rookie Hill. And on this drive, he has stopped as we get another look at, yes, it did hit number 63, Dermontti Dawson. And here is Gary Anderson with a 42-yard attempt. He's hit 1 or 2. The conditions a bit better now. And Anderson is able to put it right through. Gary Anderson going long range 42-yard field goal. The Steelers extend to a 27-14 lead on the Dolphins. So Anderson, who missed his first attempt, has hit his last two. On the lakeside view of the field, as the rain has stopped, but the onslaught by the Steelers has not. And the Steelers have scored 10 points off 3 Dolphin turnovers, and with 27 points for the day, they have equaled their season high. Earlier in the year, they beat Minnesota 27-14. And that is the score they lead by right here with 8:09 remaining in the third quarter. It is Ola and Hampton as the deep men for Anderson. Lorenzo Hampton coughing it up on that return just a moment ago that led to the field goal by Anderson. And Hampton takes. Lorenzo Hampton with a penalty marker down, getting across the 22, stopped by Larry Griffin. And here is Dick Jorgensen, who in real life is the president of a bank, a 22-year veteran of the NFL, and he has the call. It is against Miami.
So again, it's going to be very poor field position. And we have a lot of very business-oriented officials in the NFL. Some are bank presidents, some are company presidents, and I don't think that Hobley. I don't think Dick Jorgensen's thinking about the prime right here. See if we can pick up. There's Hobley. He's on number 23 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's Tim Terrell. And very poor field position again.
Dolphins start out from the 8-yard line, and Marino back to his goal line to throw it, and it was deflected.
Looked like Brian Hinkle got his hand up in the air. Number 53, as he was coming across the middle, gets his hand up in the air and just tipped that ball away from the receiver.
It will be a second down and 10. There is Hinkle, who broke his leg in a game against Cincinnati back in week 2, continued to play with the broken leg. Said he did not know it was broken until the next day. Brian Hinkle has had an outstanding season. The Pittsburgh linebackers have played very well. Second down and 10 from the 8-yard line. And let's see if they rule that complete or incomplete, as Hampton was the intended receiver. And it is called a completed catch. He had possession. It is short of the first down. A look at the AFC Central. Cleveland, with that loss on Thanksgiving Day to Detroit, is now 7-4-1. Houston is trailing in its game against Kansas City, so the Browns could end the day in front. And Cincinnati trailing, they could drop to 6-6. And if Pittsburgh holds on, they're 6-6 as we take a look at what is going on next week here on NBC. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Houston, Pittsburgh, Miami, and Kansas City. On the late game, Denver. 14 reviews last week in the Miami-Dallas game. Replay official L.T. Bonner slowing the game to a crawl. The L.T. in L.T. Bonner, incidentally, does not stand for look twice.
Look twice. Look 14 times.
And that is incomplete.
Well,
not able to hang on.
I'm surprised there wasn't a flag there on Darnell Lake. Looked like there was a little shoving before the ball got there.
You know, out of the 14 reviews last week, the end result, only one call was reversed.
Let's see what we can see out here in the flat. It looks like he's throwing to Clayton just to move the chains, just to make the first down as best he possibly can. See if we can see Lake with contact before the ball gets there. That's hard to pick up there. But no flag, so we'll be in to punt.
And he is back in his end zone. Rod Woodson at midfield. And accelerates. Ankle tackle. Ola getting Woodson, who appeared to be headed for more yardage. 38-yard punt and a good return. It went for 17. We'll be back in a moment. This game began as if it would be a blowout.
Absolutely. First two drives, they score up 14-0, and Pittsburgh comes back with 27 unanswered points.
And again, the Steelers with terrific field position off the return by Woodson, who's had an exceptional day in punt returning. It is Worley, who has run well. Stopped by the nose tackle, Brian Sauché.
Now, see, this is the big difference. Pittsburgh has the ability to run the ball. You see guard and tackle full, Jackson and Reenstra, and Worley up through there, protecting the ball, runs very, very hard. This is something that Miami's not been able to do, to recapture some control of the football game.
Worley picked up 6. He has run for 55 yards on 13 carries.
More importantly, he has not coughed it up.
Coming up on 6 minutes remaining. In the third, Pittsburgh 27, Miami 14. Second down and 4. Here's Hodge getting inside the 25. Looks to be short of the first down. Sauché again making the stop. Dan Marino is headed off the field in the direction of the locker room.
Scott Sequels is warming up now. Again, it's either his ribs or his throwing shoulder. Not really sure, but they're taking no chances with Dan Marino. We'll find out what the reason for the visit to the locker room is. They have X-ray machines. There's Scott Sequels with Ulenik.
Sequels acquired from Dallas during preseason, a 6th-round draft pick of Dallas last year out of the University of Virginia. Has played sparingly this season. And Marino coming in to today's action with injured ribs on his left side. Threw very lightly during the course of the week and has obviously not been himself. Timeout taken by Pittsburgh as they are looking at a 3rd down and 1.
Sequels was the backup to Don Mikowski, quarterback at Green Bay at Virginia. Well, you would certainly think with those two guys, they'd win more games than they did.
And we're told that checking on Marino's ribs, 3rd down and 1 for the Steelers. And looked like Carter was stacked up. Dolphins feel they stopped him short of the first down. Let's see where they spot it. It was T.J. Turner and Brian Sauché combining on the hit. And they are calling for the yardsticks. 5:19 left in the third quarter. The rain has stopped here in Miami. A downpour throughout the first half. They were playing, sloshing through the puddles throughout the first half, and the indication that it is short of the first down. Well, coming up next, join us for one of the premier golf events of the year, the Skins game. Curtis Strange had the best day yesterday, winning $60,000. Who will pocket the big money today? Will join one of the best foursomes ever for the conclusion. Today worth $310,000 coming up right here on NBC. Pittsburgh going for it. 4th and inches. And the first down is picked up by Worley.
Pittsburgh comes in with extra offensive linemen up front and give it to Worley. Worley's big, approaching 230 pounds. Good lean forward. It all depends upon the spot. You see Worley and Brister, they collide, and it's going to be close, Marv. I think Bubby just couldn't get out of the way. Well, they make it, and they make it by the smallest margin on a football.
So Tim Worley able to pick it up, being watched by Chuck Noll. Tim Worley, who has gone through a frustrating injury-hit rookie campaign. In college, he was rarely hurt, rarely fumbled. He fumbled 6 times, doing it by lowering his shoulder and trying to run over the linebackers, which has not worked. But today, he's had a splendid afternoon, has not fumbled, and has run the ball well. First down at the 23 for the Steelers. They lead the Dolphins 27-14. Errol Hodge stopped by Jeff Cross. A short pickup by Hodge. As Cross leads the Dolphins 8.5 sacks in his second year out of Missouri.
With bad weather and a bad field, the ability to run the football has helped. Pittsburgh has not run the ball a great deal, I mean, down the field, but they've been able to just move the chains a little bit and at least keep the linebackers of Miami back on their heels or rushing forward to stop the run. That's the big difference between Miami. They've not been able to consistently run the ball.
Second down and 8 at the Miami 21. Change of direction by Worley, who's hit for a loss. John Offerdahl stopping Tim Worley. 3.5 to go now in the third. And Pittsburgh coming back from a 14-0 deficit, leading 27-14. Buffalo with the lead over Cincinnati. Kansas City maintaining its lead in that fight-filled first half. And Minnesota off the touchdown by Herschel Walker, jumping in front of Green Bay by 3. Third down and 8 at the 21. Steelers coming with a record of 5-6 with 5 games left. And they feel they must win all 5 for a wild card possibility as Prescott throws in. Lips could not hold on. Covered by Paul Langford.
Boy, that was close. Lips almost makes that catch. He's going to slosh him down the field as best he possibly can, and Langford does not see this ball thrown. And when he sees Lips look, then he turns around. He almost catches this ball. It's a little hand fighting between the two. You can see they're sitting there. Mr. doesn't even see this ball leave his hand. Another field goal attempt by Gary Anderson.
And this from 38 yards away. He's hit 2 of 3. It is no good. So Gary Anderson has missed 2 from 38 yards. He's hit from 27 and from 42. Anderson bouncing back last week, connected from 49 and 28. 2 weeks ago against Chicago, he missed a couple.
One of the game's great kickers, and when that field is so bad, you don't know about the placement of the ball, and they just left it a little right.
Miami takes over at their 22-yard line. And Scott Secules has replaced Dan Marino at quarterback. Throws on first down, completes for just short yardage to the tight end, Farrell Edmonds. Scott Secules, as we mentioned earlier, out of the University of Virginia, saw his most extensive action late October against Buffalo, coming on in relief, 6 for 11, 109 yards, and his first NFL touchdown acquired from the Cowboys, where he was a 6th-round draft pick last year. So the stat line on Marino, 8 for 16, 128 yards, 1 touchdown, and it was a struggle for Dan Marino. Second down and 7 off the play action. Smith. Sammy Smith has a first down.
Not a very comfortable spot for Scott Secules to come in. Bad weather, bad field, team behind by 13, and you got to somehow muster this comeback. Nothing fancy about this play. Straight ahead blocking. Smith just bounces to the outside. You see Hinkle, 53, jumps inside, and Smith with great quickness gets outside. So they got to get the ball down the field a little bit. Secules can run the ball too, which I think in this situation will help Miami.
It's first down at the 33. Secules off the roll, throws the bullet incomplete.
Hinkle tipped that one again.
Someone got a piece of it. Woodruff on the coverage. It will be a 2nd and 10 at the 33 with 1:17 remaining in this third quarter. For those of you who may have just tuned in, it is Scott Secules coming on for Dan Marino. This is the scene of the first half with the rain falling hard, and Marino taking that hit from the strong safety Carnell Lake.
see the wince on his face, and I don't know if he couldn't throw the ball because of the weather or because of the shoulder after that.
2nd down and 10. And it's through the hands of Jensen. Picked off by Greg Lloyd. And Lloyd is down inside the 10. So Sequels intercepted. And again, the Steelers can take advantage of a Miami turnover.
That's 4 by Miami. The first interception ends up being a 30-yard return by Greg Lloyd. And it goes right through the hands of Jim Jensen.
Greg Lloyd, a native of Miami. Born and raised in this area, coming up with his 2nd interception of the season.
Right through the hands of Jensen. Lloyd just in the right place at the right time. And Pittsburgh gets his 4th turnover today and has not turned the ball over. That's unbelievable.
3 turnovers leading to 10 points for the Steelers. 1st and goal at the 5. Pittsburgh already up by 13. Lips in motion. And it is Hodge picking up yardage. Very tough to bring him down. Merrill Hodge moving closer to the goal line. Hobley finally able to wrestle him down.
Well, Pittsburgh can take its time here. Look at the football field. From the 50 to the right, which is where the game has been played, it's all dirty. From the 50 to the left, it's green, as if nobody's been out there at all. Look at it. It's all nice and green on that side. And then as you get, we'll see how it's chopped up, chewed up. That's where Miami's been in the 3rd quarter and in the 2nd quarter. Pittsburgh has dominated the field position with the turnovers.
And they now have a 2nd and goal from the 2. Here's Hodge, and he's in for the touchdown. Hodge doing it the way he did earlier this 3rd quarter, benefiting from the block by Craig Wolfley.
Again, they line him up off the line of scrimmage. He's outside the tight end. Wolfley at 6'2", 290. He goes inside, and this time he whams Offerdahl. And Hodge scores. That's the 2nd time that they have scored on that particular play, and that's the top point production now that Pittsburgh's had in '89.
3rd touchdown of the game for Hodge. 1st time he has ever done it in the NFL. And Anderson extends to 34-14. The Pittsburgh Steelers turning it around on the Miami Dolphins, and they have scored 34 unanswered points.
That's after being totally dominated by Pittsburgh in the first 2 drives. I mean, by Miami in the first 2 drives. Miami went right through Pittsburgh on those first 2 drives. And as a matter of fact, Pittsburgh went 3 downs and out the first 3 times they had the football.
Merrill Hodge now with 5 touchdowns for the season. 2 his first 11 and 3 today. 10th round draft pick out of Idaho State, who told us last night he's interested in television. And we're not talking about repairs.
I told him not to get into business. Bad idea. Ex-football players in the broadcast booth. No. There's not enough broadcast booths. There's Dan Marino coming back.
Well, Sequels came on in his first series. He was picked off by Greg Lloyd, who ran it 30 yards on the interception, running it down to the 5. And several plays later, it was Hodge ramming it home. And we hope to get a report on Marino. Dan Marino making his way back as Gary Anderson gets set to kick it off. And Hampton cannot get to it.
It's still in bounds.
Did it hit the yardstick?
No, that bounced and just sat right there in the mud, stayed in bounds, and Hampton had to pick it up. That's a live ball.
Olszewski on the stop of Hampton, who was looking for it to roll out of bounds. No, it did get stuck in the mud. So Miami back to the offense as this 3rd quarter comes to a close. Winning 6 of the last 7, the last 3. Dan Marino warming up along the sideline, but Scott Sequels remains in at quarterback, despite the fact that the Dolphins have been on fire and they opened up with a 14-0 lead. Pittsburgh roaring back, and they lead it now 34-14 as we get underway in the fourth quarter with the sun now shining. Smith looking to turn it, could not. Jerry Olszewski forcing him out of bounds. So Dan Marino limpering up, and the question is, will we see Marino make his return?
Tough choice, I think, here for Don Shula. Everything was light and cheery at the Dolphin camp on Friday when I was there, and yesterday at practice. I think Don Shula was very happy with the way the team was playing. This has got to come as a real shock to the Miami Dolphins after the way they started this football game, to have it get away from them today.
Second down and 7 from the Miami 23. Secules to his left and throws sideline, incomplete, intended for Clayton, covered by Woodson.
You can see the strength of this young man's arm. He really got it out there quickly, but Rod Woodson was right there in coverage.
Rod Woodson telling us last night that he had asked Chuck Noll for a shot to play wide receiver in third down situations, but Noll told us that Rod already plays extensively, has to concentrate on his other defensive assignments along with returning kicks, but he does not discount it for the future.
Yeah, I was interested too when he said, I asked him last summer before training camp. I thought he just asked this week. He asked last summer.
3rd and 7, and Secules underthrows. Pass intended for Duper, covered by Woodson, and it is 3 plays and punt. And Secules and the Dolphins hearing it from the crowd.
Well, this is a game that just absolutely has gotten away, which is something that is very unusual for a Don Shula coach team. Turnovers, the bad field position really cost Miami this football game to this point.
Roby back at his 8-yard line, and Woodson back at his 35. The return by Woodson, who has been exceptional in punt returning this afternoon. Oh, interesting block, and Woodson still could not turn it for any more yardage. Picked up only 6 on the 49-yard punt. Don McNeil ran him out of bounds. We'll be back after these words from your local.
That's Hobley, and Delton Hall gets his head in front of the Miami player, so the block is legal. As long as you can get that head in front of the player, they allow that. Rod Woodson, a heck of a day on punt returns, been a big factor here for Pittsburgh.
He's had a splendid day, shaken up early in the game and able to bounce back.
Wow, boy, is that a big factor.
And a 1st and 10 of 34-yard line. Worley on a sweep. Tim Worley stopped by John Offerdahl as he tried the right side.
Well, throughout this day, too, they've had good luck running to the right. You see, double pull, both guards, Terry Long, 74, Rienstra, 79, and Worley following them very, very well. Nice lead block by Hodge. But the sweeps to the right have worked very well for Pittsburgh.
5-yard gain for Worley, who has run 60 yards, 60 out of the 90 for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you know, Pittsburgh's gone 6 straight games without rushing for 100 yards as a team. They're about to break the 100-yard barrier today.
2nd down 5. Steelers from their 39. Worley goes the other side and has the first down. A hard-hitting move by Tim Worley, who was stopped by John Offerdahl.
Pittsburgh's offensive line been able to control the line of scrimmage here for Worley and for Merrill Hodge. Done an excellent job of blocking up front. These guys are short, squat, very strong, not tall and lanky, and they use more choppy steps to get out there to set up for the traps, and I think it's proven a real benefit to the Pittsburgh offense today.
First down now at the 46 for the Steelers, who lead the Dolphins 34-14 as we get underway in the fourth quarter. Worley, he's tough to bring down today. Jarvis Williams made the tackle. Pittsburgh Steelers with a record of 5-6 coming off the come-from-behind win over San Diego to stop a 2-game losing streak, and getting the play on the line by, as you say, that short, squat offensive alignment.
74, Terry Long on the pull that time, and he blocked the key defender, John Offerdahl, 56, and Worley goes right by him. So they're approaching 100 yards. And when Pittsburgh can run the ball, just as they did for 300 yards last year against Miami up there, they're a very tough team to beat.
Led by Warren Williams in that victory on the final day of the regular season last season. And as Hodge stopped short of the first down, 3 minutes have run by in this fourth quarter. Merrill Hodge stopped by E.J. Jr. from the left outside linebacker position.
This time they give it to Hodge, and this is a straight ahead blocking, and it doesn't work as well as those short little traps. Junior helps. Looks like T.J. Turner was also in there on the assist, so it brings up a 3rd down and about, what, make it 2? You can see Pittsburgh being very deliberate. They're going to use all of the clock they possibly can. There's 6 seconds left on the 45-second clock.
And Bubby Brister just does get it off. Worley looking to pick his way, but stopped short of the first down. Offerdahl, who's had another outstanding day, making the tackle. John Offerdahl, the leader of the Dolphins defense, one of the NFL's premier linebackers. He's made the Pro Bowl his first 3 years, twice as a starter. And sweep around the 10-minute ticker. Miami interested in that Buffalo-Cincinnati game, but the Bills seem to have it well in hand. Should Buffalo and Miami finish with the same record, Buffalo would have it in the first tiebreaker head-to-head, because the Bills have won 2 out of 2 against Miami.
Well done by Newsom.
And he gets it away to Schwades, who lets it go, so they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. A 47-yard punt. 10:21 remaining in the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh 34 and Miami 14. Newsom having himself an adventure, but able to get it away. Newsom's had a big day. And there's Dan Marino remaining on the sideline as the Miami Dolphins take over at their 20, and they stay with Scott Secules.
11 attempts, 17 yards, and most of those were in a driving rainstorm, with the exception of the first 2 drives. Not one of Dan Marino's best, maybe one of his worst.
10:21 left in the fourth quarter, and the Dolphins trail 34-14. Secules able to complete to Duper, hit by the free safety Thomas Everett, and a first down for Miami, and Duper is shaken up.
Everett kind of grabbed his head and spun him to the ground, but Duper gets up.
Everett, a devastating hitter, to the point that coaches have worried about his durability. Only his 3rd season out of Baylor. They feel that he could hurt his game by throwing those hard hits on a consistent basis.
Yeah, he also hurts his teammates in practice, and he's not big either. He's only 5'9" and just over 180 pounds, and he'll stick his nose into anybody. Dolphins now got to forget the weather and the field conditions and play like it's indoors and start throwing the thing deep.
First down at the 37. And Secules going short for the tight end, Edmonds. And another Miami first down. Edmonds run out by Woodruff. 17-yard reception.
Well, he throws up a big rooster tail, doesn't he? When he lands.
And the word on Dan Marino is that it is questionable as to whether he will return, and he is sitting it out because of the injured ribs.
Not the shoulder. I guess the shoulder is all right. So it's up to Scott Secules to somehow come up with 20 points or more in 9 minutes and 38 seconds.
And Secules goes the other side, and it's dropped.
No, he caught it.
Oh, he caught it, yes. He held on. Clayton making the catch in front of Woodson.
Mark, Pittsburgh is now in that mindset where 20 points up, and it's in the fourth quarter, and you can see the coverage is a little softer now than it was before. Woodson's dropping off. Farrell Edmonds catches a pass underneath Carnell Lake. Pittsburgh's going to have to tighten up that coverage a little bit. They can't allow Miami to go down the field this easily.
That reception just short of the first down. It's a 2nd and 1 at the Pittsburgh 37. 9.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. Seacles for Edmonds, broken up. Covered by Everett. Farrell Edmonds, the tight end, on a post pattern, was stopped, but a flag has been thrown.
Offsides defense. Everett was playing that free safety. He's back there reading the quarterback's eyes.
Number 78, defense, 5 yards, first down.
That's the tight end, rather the right defensive end, Tim Johnson, called on the offside.
Look at Dick Jorgensen's hat there. Boy, he's had a tough day today. That thing has gone from white to gray to brown. He's got to head straight to the laundromat when this game is over.
And a first down for the Dolphins at the Pittsburgh 32. They're trailing by 20 points after leading 14-0. Seacles incomplete. Intended for Duper. Woodson on the coverage.
This time Pittsburgh gets good pressure on Scott Seacles, and it appears that they're not going to lay back there anymore. Keith Willis on this side. There's Hinkle coming. That's the nose tackle up through the middle. Lorenzo Freeman, 68, who puts Scott Seacles on the clean part of his uniform there.
It is a 2nd and 10 at the 32. Clayton right, Duper left. Seacles off the roll and has Clayton, but only a short pickup. Wayne Woodruff was right there on the coverage of Mark Clayton. Last year set a Miami team record, 86 catches.
From behind the offense, you see the half roll by Seacles. Good thing is you get closer to the receiver. The bad thing is you've only got a third of the field to throw on. Dwayne Woodruff with the tackle. And the splash down by Mark Clayton for about a 6-yard gain.
2nd down and 4 at the Pittsburgh 26. The rookie Andre Brown now split to the left. Cooper to the near side. Jensen in the backfield. And Seacles completes for another first down. Mark Clayton. Now check that. Andre Brown stopped by Everett and Hall.
This young man is beginning to become a big factor in this offense. He just runs the slant. Delton Hall, 35, is the man in coverage. 27 free safety Everett there to assist on the tackle. He's had some big catches over the last several weeks. Gone 4 straight games with touchdown receptions. Watch this kid's arm. Boom. That's why they like him. He's very similar to Marino in that releases quick.
And a first down at the 12, 7:50 to go in this fourth quarter. Incomplete. Intended for Jensen. He was covered by Greg Lloyd. It'll be a 2nd and 10 at the 12-yard line. Scott Seacles, acquired for the Dallas Cowboys during training camp. 6th round pick of Dallas, has taken over for the injured Dan Marino. Miami Dolphins coming in tied of the AFC East with Buffalo. They had won 2 straight on the road, winning over the Jets and Dallas, 2 of the weaker teams, and both were come from behind victories, but overall they had won 6 of their last 7. 2nd down play. Seacles with the time, looking for Jensen. Cornell Lake on the coverage, and the crowd reacting, looking for an interference penalty on Lake.
Jensen runs the out and up. He's in the backfield. He's right in front of the referee. He goes out, he goes up, he goes out, and he goes up again. It looks like the alternate receiver. Lake is on the inside. I can understand why the people, if you put 2 hands up in front of the receiver's face and don't move them back and forth, they allow that. If you move them, they call it interference. Cornell Lake may have gotten away with one there.
Seacles on this drive, 5 for 8 for 63 yards. 3rd down and 10. Again gets the protection. Incomplete. Woodson got a piece of it. Pass intended for Brown.
Looked like Andre Brown stopped the pattern. Well, that's obviously going to be a difference. Andre Brown normally works with Dan Marino. Tough choice here for Don Shula. Do you go for it, fourth down? I think you almost have to, don't you?
I don't think there's any question. Field goal makes it 34-17. 7.5 remaining in this fourth quarter. It's a 4th and 10 at the 12, and Don Shula will go for it.
You definitely want your head coach calling these plays. 4th and 10, fourth quarter, down by 20. What do you want, coach? Yeah, penalty on the left tackle, Dellenbach.
And the officials get between players with some words exchanged.
Offensive left tackle Dellenbach, so now it's 5 yards more you have to go. It's 4th down and 15.
Dellenbach replacing the injured John Giesler, now at left tackle. Last season took over at center for the All-Pro Dwight Stevenson.
Yeah, almost saw Seakules break out of his stance just as Dellenbach did, like those two got the message and no one else on the offensive line did.
Sets it back to a 4th and 15 back at the 17-yard line.
You know, Don Shula has run a play called a hook and lateral. That is somebody hooked short and they lateral it to the guy behind him, and boy, this is a good place for it here. Pittsburgh faking blitz. Let's see what they're going to do.
Seakules on the roll. Penalty marker is down. It's incomplete. It was underthrown, but there is a flag.
Offsides, defense. So Miami gets another heartbeat.
Offsides, number 97, defense, lined up in the neutral zone, 5 yards, still for offside.
That is Aaron Jones, second-year man from Eastern Kentucky, number 1 draft pick last season.
Certainly nothing that's going to help Aaron Jones by cheating the line of scrimmage at all in this situation. So it's back to 4th and 10.
The ball at the Pittsburgh 12. And Seakules looking for Jensen.
Wow, it looked to me like that ball might have been tipped. Gerald Williams was covering Jim Jensen, and it looked like that ball was tipped right at the line of scrimmage. Not sure.
So Pittsburgh will take over, and we'll take a break. Back after this.
Finally, there's a minivan for kids with parents. And let's face it, we all have them. Yeah. The all-new Oldsmobile.
An incomplete pass.
Remigo 6'5", may have bothered Seakules, may have screened him a bit. Steelers take over. Worley on the slant and continues to run well, getting out to the 20-yard line, tackled by the combination of Sauché and Langford. He picked up 8. It will be a 2nd down and 2.
Now back to that last 4th down attempt. It's going to come to the right. Linebacker in coverage is Gerald Williams. This ball is thrown down into the ground. Coverage is good by Williams. That's something that Rod Rust wanted. The defensive coordinator of Pittsburgh, he said, our linebackers have to cover Jensen. On that one, Williams did. And for most of the day, the coverage has been outstanding.
6:40 remaining in the fourth quarter, and Pittsburgh, led by the rookie Tim Worley, has gone over the 100 mark. Pittsburgh 34 and Miami 14. Worley again, 1st down and some additional yardage. And Cross on the tackle. Crowd of 59,936 capacity here at Joe Robbie, and 73,000. They've been filing out through this fourth quarter. Amazing that this many stayed.
Yeah.
Very loyal group, with the rain coming down so hard throughout the first half.
To get out of this stadium, you have to swim upstream to get to your car.
It'll be a 1st down at the 28 for the Steelers, who have had themselves a splendid day. Miami turning it over 4 times. Critical turnovers because it gave Pittsburgh excellent field position. Earl Hodge, the ball carrier. Hodge with 3 touchdowns, a career high. Offerdahl on the stop as we come up to 5.5 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. Tonight on NBC, The Magical World of Disney presenting the conclusion of Parent Trap Hawaiian Honeymoon, followed by the family comedy Sister Kate and My Two Dads, the Sunday night movie Top Gun starring Tom Cruise. That's tonight here on NBC. And following football, it'll be the Skins game. Curtis Strange with the best day yesterday, winning at $60,000, $310,000 still available. Second down and 4. Worley again has the first down, and he has gone for a career high. Tim Worley, in fact, gunning for the 100-yard mark. He has gone 22 carries, 94 yards. What a day for the rookie out of the University of Georgia.
And they have really run the ball to the right very, very well. He goes to the sideline. But that's the kind of production they'd like to have out of Tim Worley each weekend if they could.
Brian Blankenship in this series has been the right guard for Terry Long, who has pulled for a breather. Dawson at center, Reenstra and Blankenship the guards. Ilkin and Jackson are the tackles. First down at the 41-yard line. Rodney Carter trying to make the turn. He's hit for a loss. Gang tackled.
But he does stay in bounds. You'll lose yards just to stay in bounds now, because all you want is for ticks to go off the clock.
Pittsburgh Steelers have never beaten the Dolphins here in Miami. They have won twice in Miami, 2 of the biggest wins in Steelers history taking place at the Orange Bowl. They beat Dallas in Super Bowls 10 and 13. And a look at the AFC Central with Houston on the way to a loss, 7 and 4 going in.
Cincinnati losing, Pittsburgh winning. So it'll be 7-4-1, 7-5, 6-6, and 6-6 in the AFC Central.
Second down 13. Ball carried White Stone. So Chuck Noll now doing some shuffling in the backfield with time running down. Soche on the stop. Well, head coach Chuck Noll facing a lot of criticism earlier in the season after that opening day loss, 51-0. Beat by Cincinnati and Cleveland, looking so poorly in taking the defeats. Last year, a record of 5-11. The criticism continuing over those first 2 games, but the Steelers showing much improvement. The reaction has turned, and Pittsburgh will end this day at the 500 mark and still alive in terms of a wild card berth with a record of 6-6.
How about his comment to us last night? I have never paid attention to those comments, whether they be compliments or criticism. I have never paid attention to what people have said.
I don't believe that. I don't see how you could not pay attention. I mean, obviously he's going to say that, Bob.
Well,
and all coaches or all managers are going to say that, but you know that hurts.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's got an awful lot of good years to balance against the bad years. So for a lot of years, he didn't have to read it because he was watching it. They were winning Super Bowls and division champions and conference championships. It wasn't hard to read.
It's a third down 10 at the 41 as we come up on 3 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. Bristol with the play action. White Stone.
Why didn't you bring it up to him last night that you didn't believe that he didn't pay any attention to it? I realize. Don Shula's got to be very, very disappointed today. He thought his team was ready. The weather, strangely, takes the team that plays in the weather out of the game. Now, there's no way around it.
All right, Newsom is back to punt at his 35-yard line. As we come up on 3 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter, Scott Schwades is back at his 13.
Too much time. Delay of game.
So the Steelers are just looking to take as much time as they can with that 20-point lead. will step it off 5 yards.
Marv, when you look back at this game and the fact that Pittsburgh scored 17 points in a driving rainstorm that you could barely see across the field is absolutely remarkable. They certainly got 10 points on turnovers, but still in a driving rainstorm like it wasn't even there, they functioned. Miami did not.
A bad snap, but handled by Newsom as he moved to his left. And here is Schwades. And he fell down across the 30-yard line. So a 33-yard punt. And the Dolphins start out from their 32. Don Shula going into today as the second active winningest coach in the NFL, and Chuck Noll is number 5.
And of course, those two used to be coaching mates. Don Shula hired Chuck Noll in the last game that Chuck Noll was an assistant for Don Shula. The Super Bowl won by the New York Jets. It probably changed the NFL.
Shula number 1 among the active coaches, trailing George Hallis, and Chuck Noll is number 5. First down at the 32 with 2:53 left in the 4th quarter. And Secules is picked off. It is Thomas Everett on the interception inside the 20-yard line.
A big assist to Lorenzo Freeman, the nose tackle. He's the guy who made Secules throw it early. Freeman ran right around the center. He was right in Secules' face, and Secules couldn't follow through. I say he's right over the center. He's not. He's on toast. 76. See there? Right in his face. Everett goes up the 5th turnover of the day by the Miami Dolphins. And you can start up the engines. Again, watch on the right guard. Tom Toth tries to trip him. Everett there to make the interception. 2nd of the day, 5th turnover by Miami.
And for Everett, his 3rd interception of the season.
A Miami player down on the field, Freddie Banks, 86.
So it is turnover number 5 for Miami. Against the Steelers going into today, Shula had won 7 of 10 in the regular season. And 9 of 13 overall, including postseason action.
He's not happy.
Red Banks, a 4-year man from Liberty, signed as a free agent. Won a job over Miami's all-time leading receiver, Nat Moore, and he is the man shaken up.
He tries to make the tackle here. And the worst thing you can do in the game of football is put your head down. I'm not sure what happened there to Fred Banks. But he's very slow in getting up, that's for sure. Being attended to on the sideline. Looks like he did something to a leg somehow.
Thank you.
So Fred Banks being helped off. Does not look good.
Nothing today for Miami. After the first 10 minutes, looks good.
And the question now, the severity of the injured ribs of Dan Marino, who was not in terrific shape going into today, had only thrown a couple of times during the week, throwing lightly. Took a good pop from Carnell Lake in the first half. The weather conditions did not help, but looked to be throwing gingerly right from the start. Miami next week will be at Kansas City and then home for New England. First out at the 16-yard line. White Stone with a short pickup. Again, John Offerdahl on the stop with 2.5 minutes to go in the game.
This has got to be one of Pittsburgh's best victories in the last several years. I mean, going on the road, playing in a place that they'd never won before. Because Miami had been 6-0 down here. And all the bad weather.
2-yard gain.
They needed a running game. They got it. They needed the turnovers. They got it. They needed a good defensive effort. They got that, too. Special teams have been good. Rod Woodson helped a bunch. I mean, you can give game balls to all of them. They played well.
And last week, Steelers special teams with their best game of the season, led by Rod Woodson, Carnell Lake, and the field goals by Gary Anderson. 34-14, 2 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. Miami with a 14-0 lead. Pittsburgh coming back with 34 unanswered points. So Miami will drop to a record of 7-5. Buffalo on its way to a victory over Cincinnati. They will go 1 up on the Dolphins. Buffalo with games at Seattle, New Orleans, San Francisco, and the Jets. Buffalo now, final score, beating Cincinnati 24-7. Jim Kelly throwing for 3 touchdowns. As you look at their schedule, and in the AFC Central, Pittsburgh in it in terms of a wild card.
Amazing.
Although still have to feel they must win their remaining games. And this hour lineup next Sunday, Cincinnati going against Cleveland, Houston, Pittsburgh, Miami, Kansas City, and the late game it'll be Denver running away with the AFC West against the Reds. 2nd down and 8 at the 14. And it is Stone trying to pick his way. Gets to the 11. E.J. Jr. on the stop.
And Omar, this week in Miami, a lot of the writers in the press were trying to push on Don Shula the fact that, hey, you guys got a chance at the playoffs now for the first time in 3 years. And Shula said, please, all we have to do is address ourselves to Pittsburgh, not worry about or think about the prospect of the playoffs. And look what's happened. They're now 2 games behind, 1 game behind in the AFC East.
And our most valuable player award sponsored by Budweiser, the MVP, the rookie running back for the Steelers, Tim Worley, 22 carries, 95 yards. Budweiser making a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVP selected in today's game. And now the Steelers running that clock down as we approach 1 minute remaining. So Tim Worley, first-round draft pick, the 7th selection overall, reported late a holdout, had injury problems, complaints that he was not getting the ball enough. 22 carries today. That's the most he's carried all season, so there has been a progression. Last week he carried 17 for 53 yards, and smiling for the first time in a while on the sideline.
I am absolutely shocked that one team has 5 turnovers in this weather, the other team none. I mean, they have done an outstanding job of hanging on to the football.
Many heroes for the Steelers. A steady game for Bubby Brister. Derek Hill with 2 big catches. The tight end Mike Malarkey came up with a 34-yard reception that led to the touchdown. Merrill Hodge, 3 touchdown runs from short range. The return game of Rod Woodson. The tackling of Jerry Osofsky, Brian Hinkle. There's Dan Marino, who was forced out of the lineup, bothered by those injured ribs. Scott Secules took over. Bubby Brister, incidentally, 8 for 18, 169 yards, but 3 long-range receptions led to touchdowns, 2 to Malarkey, and 2, I should say, to Hill, and 1 to Malarkey. And the time is run out on the Miami Dolphins. A very strange day at Joe Robbie Stadium through a downpour. Pittsburgh coming from way back after trailing by the score of 14-0, and the Steelers with a 34-14 victory. And apparently
it was a 4th down. They let the clock expire, ran a play, so now in the change of possession, Miami's going to get it with 20 seconds left.
Still 20 showing on the clock. So time for several plays for the Dolphins, who will drop to 7-5. The 3-game win streak is stopped. The last time Miami won 4 in a row was back in '85, a season that saw them reel off 7 straight wins to close out the year. CQ's fielding that low snap and firing one high and wide. We have reached the point where there may be more people in the broadcast booth that have remained in the stadium. They have been filing out since the second quarter with the heavy rain.
Well, the fans at least have a sense of humor because they were cheering, here we go, offense, here we go, down 20 points with 15 seconds left.
Second down play coming up for the Dolphins. And he took a hit. Pass intended for Duper, broken up by David Johnson, a backup defender. Johnson, a rookie from Kentucky.
3rd and 10.
And we are down to 9 seconds remaining. And Bob, I don't think there will be any traffic jams outside Joe Robbie Stadium. Skins game coming up following Miami and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh Steelers conclude at 6-6. Playoff chances are still up in the air. They must win their remaining games to have a shot. However, even if Pittsburgh finished 9-7 and tie another team for the final wild card berth, chances are they would lose any tiebreaker because they are 0-2 against Cincinnati, 0-1 against Houston. And the completion to the rookie Andre Brown is stopped by Rod Woodson as time has run out. Steelers also with a record now 4-5 against the AFC. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have defeated the Miami Dolphins by the score of 34-14. We'll be back in a moment.
I tell my dad I'm buying a new car, and he